How did we get here? Isn't it completely odd and bizarre that we have none of the previous players at 155 in this bout for Khabib's vacated belt? I have to chuckle and smile as the UFC follows its own agenda. It matches one of the greatest outside of the UFC ever versus an improved deadly contender. Opportunity. That's the theme for this week. Opportunity. These two fighters are aware, like others, that the UFC is not a paycheck, but an opportunity of a lifetime. Since you've already clicked in, please hit the like button as well as subscribe. I will continue to produce content, especially if people actually enjoy it and watch it. It is indeed challenging being the part of an audience of a few. Well, we know a lot of each of these fighters. All of UFC fans are familiar with Do Bronx having the most submissions in UFC history with 7 finishes in his last 8 fights. At this point, I don't know where you've been if you don't know who Michael Chandler is. Multiple-time Bellator champion, competed in Strikeforce, and now in the UFC. We've seen the classic trilogy between him and Alvarez, all grit, all determination, and the will to finish. Both of these guys have that. I really love seeing these bouts where it truly is a finisher versus finisher, guys that not only look to defeat their opponent, but really finish them. That's why the not to go the distance prop is set accordingly at minus 345, with Chandler being plus 188 and Oliveira being plus 115 to win by finish. Again, these lines seem appropriate as Chandler is coming off 3 first-round finishes and Oliveira is coming off an outstanding, unprecedented finish streak of 14 to 15 fights, with his most recent non-finish being El Capuy. Most of those finishes are in round 1 or 2. Oliveira by submission is plus 185, plus 450 by TKO. Chandler by TKO is plus 210, and plus 1400 by submission. So how did we get to these spectacular moments? How did Chandler and Oliveira implement their game plans, execute their skill sets against each other? This isn't just your classic and traditional grappler versus striker matchup. Both these guys have a significant amount of KO power, finish power, submission power. Well, looking back at Oliveira's losses, we can see a lot of his strengths, but primarily most of his weaknesses. In 2010, Miller he accepted bottom position. He was dominating Miller quite on the feet as quickly as it was, as well as grappling and spinning. But he has an active guard, and all his chains failed, and Miller locked in a submission and he lost. 2011, Cerrone used forward pressure, got him with a liver shot, ironically. And then in 2012, who else gets him with the liver shot, ironically? Cub Swanson. What do those two guys have in common with me? Unfortunately, big bet losses recently by the liver shot. Is Oliveira susceptible to that liver shot still? I believe so. Is that something that Chandler should capitalize to seek striking the body and attacking the body rather than engaging? I would say yes. Common activity for most Do Bronx's defeaters was pressure. Felder applied a lot of pressure with the takedown. He wasn't afraid to get into Do Bronx's guard, didn't mind it, really beyond sustain it. He smashed him. I think Chandler can do the same. He is the same type of pressure fighter who's going to be happy to enter in Oliveira's space and his wheelhouse and engage with him on the feet or on the mat, despite Oliveira's ability to TKO him or submit him. Oliveira by TKO is plus 450. Chandler's deadly right hand, sound stand-up skills. You got to think his grapple, top-heavy approach, aggression, excitement. This is going to be back in Houston, back in front of people. People are going to be excited. It's going to be fast and furious, lots of adrenaline. I just think that Chandler's, if you look at even where his losses were against Will Brooks, Eddie Alvarez, Pacheco Ferre, his chin, you would think it would be suspect in any way. I don't think so. He's out of Sanford MMA. And I think with the exception of Luke Rockhold, should have excellent striking defense despite what the numbers are there, because Chandler's one of those guys that is willing to take one and give one. He's going to come right at Du Bronx. They're going to sort of feed into each other's strengths and weaknesses. So it's going to be that's why it's going to be an interesting fight. That's why it's going to be really cool, because Chandler can sub him. Chandler can knock him out, and so can Oliveira. This can be easily the same way, and the lines express that. They're very tight, not super tight, but they're tight. You're going to see all up and down this card, very tight lines. I think it's appropriate because they got on to us. The bookies know that people are killing at these pay-per-view events. Most people who are familiar with their fighters, as well as the UFC, definitely get paid out a lot better in these events. I definitely do. I pick them better. Well, you could fact check me. Fact check anything. Nobody actually watches this, so it doesn't really matter. So, despite what the line is here, despite what the line is here, it is getting out of round 1, or even possibly round 2. This is going to go to round 3 for a finish, I think. I think these guys are going to come out adrenaline heavy. There's going to be a huge adrenaline dump by both these guys, by the fans, by the people, by all these fighters. We saw this last time, and don't leave this to the judges. Definitely do not leave anything to the judges. If this gets to the judges' hands, it's going to be a travesty for both of these fighters. Oliveira and Chandler, to win a decision, are both minus 1,000 and minus 1,250. So, so risk your own money on that, especially being in Houston, Texas. I don't want to do anything in Texas. Actually, right now, that doesn't really matter. I think the telling line that gives us the most insight to what might happen is the group of winning round props. Rounds 1 and 2, plus 225. Rounds 3 and 4, plus 550 for Oliveira. And rounds 1 and 2 is plus 275, and plus 3 and 4, plus 1,000 for Chandler. I find this interesting in that I think who has the better chance to finish in the first round, or who has a better chance to finish in the latter rounds. I would favor strongly on the wrestler, of course, Chandler having been a champion, gone those 5 rounds before, certainly lasting into the championship rounds, which most people don't think this is going to go into. I'm sort of on that side as well, but we don't know what's going to happen. This is a fight. This thing could end in 1 round. This thing definitely can go 5 rounds. The lines are skewed in this fight. I think you could take advantage of them if you want to take some risks on those. I'm not going to play any of that at all. We see from the lines, at least, that Chandler is somewhat of value at plus 110 as the underdog. Round 1 by finish by either competitor in the price and the prop finishing is pretty decent. Despite the returns by either fighter by method or any round prop, I would say stick to the money line. Do not parlay the minus 345, not to go the distance prop, nor the under 3.5. Money line and method for your fighter. I'm leaning Chandler, not because of strength of competition, but strengths of his skill set combined with his fight awareness and just training strengths. Working at shoot bulks is another level. For not just for any Brazilian, but for any fighter. But what at Stanford with Henry Hoof and the company they have there, it's going to pay dividends. There are too many killers like Oliveira that Chandler can just get looks with. He has more opportunities to challenge himself with people like Oliveira without really getting himself hurt. I don't think it's the same at Shoot Box in Brazil with somebody like Chandler, but ultimately it's how Oliveira loses that leans me against him. The forward pressure of Chandler and Oliveira's willingness to always roll rather than control will cost him this fight. Du Bronx would be wise to avoid his poor shots of a takedown and use his strikes to stay at a distance. He needs to circle out, keep circling out, almost like Chandler's last victim, but not jump guard, circle, use his length, stay at a distance, kick at the guy, wear him down if he can, because wearing Chandler down is like wearing a Neanderthal down. It's not going to happen. The guy is primeval. You need to finish him, or he's going to finish you. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be a TKO end finish here in round 1, and we're going to have a fantastic new champion and challenger to anybody who decides to step up, whether it be Conor McGregor, you never know how this all goes. There's a lot of people in play. It's amazing, again, that these two individuals get to the spotlight, and thankfully, deservedly, they do. It's going to be a fun night. Let's get this. I'm leaning on Chandler to finish this late in round 1, more likely in round 2 or even round 3, as I think there's going to be a little bit of a feeling out period. I hope there isn't. I really hope there's just a fast sub or strike here. I wouldn't mind a quick finish. I'm on either fighter by finish. You got to go with that prop as well. Just there isn't a ton of value on either side in this particular instance, but look up and down the line where you need to add the round prop of not to go the distance, as well as the finish prop to all of these fighters, because the money line is so tight, which is great. It's great to have a tight money line, because that means that we have sort of equality in what we're doing. There's parity. It's a great time for betting. Other people view this as sort of a scared time because, there's not a big money to make on either fighter. Actually, it's the opposite. When there is not this parity, it is actually a lot of opportunity for all of us. And then it opens up the prop opportunities, because here and there, you're going to see certain props having more value than others. So look out for all of those. Like in this particular one, I don't think that the TKO prop for Chandler is fantastic. I don't want to rush or search for that round 1 or 2 prop. I'm hoping to make money downstream already, where I don't have to worry about those things, and I could take either fighter by finish, or maybe just by finish, or just the money line, depending on how my night goes. But again, I'm looking for either of these fighters actually to finish. In passing, I'm not doing a full breakdown, but Jordan Wright versus Jamie Pickett. This fight, it's pretty just easy to see that both these guys are very hittable and just absorb a lot of strikes. I don't know how much action there's going to be here. I'm going to pass. I think it's almost a novelty fight. I'm going to still take Jamie Pickett to knock Jordan Wright out. I might bet something on it. I actually didn't look at the line intentionally. Hopefully it changes. I bet it's pretty close for both of these people, as, again, up and down the line, we're going to see very, very close odds for betting. But that isn't a problem. I'm not going to say that, hey, you should be doing this and that, and I have a formula for this and that, and I have a strategy for this and that, because Andrea Lee and Antonia Shevchenko should go the distance, because they should go the distance. But am I going to bet on that? I don't think so. Andrea Lee at plus 105, Antonio Shevchenko at minus 129. Again, a tight line. It's minus 375 to go the distance, plus 550 for Andrea Lee to win by finish, plus 515 for Antonia Shevchenko to win by finish. Decision all the way here, but give me Shevchenko. Tight line here. Man, but just give me the one that isn't coming off 3 losses. Antonio Shevchenko is just plus 115 by decision prop. Pretty simple. I think the minus 29 is even to cover. Andrea Lee, 3-fight losing streak, still fighting somebody, and she's fighting Antonio Shevchenko. I think she might be the parlay piece. Because it sort of seems like that. I hate to say that. I hate to stutter, but as we look at the next fight, we have another tight line. We have the bookies frightened. Seasoned wagers do well in these stacked vet cards, where we are familiar with everyone up and down the card. This is a tough bout for Lando, coming off that one-sided face-rearranging fight with Bobby Green. In that fight, Bobby mixed up the low hand striking with some takedowns to dominate. Grundy, though, with 4.25 takedowns per fight, can take Lando down and grind this out. Problem for Grundy is he's just not that active. You have to control and damage your opponent to win. You got to strike. You got to do something. While Grundy can lay and pray his way to a decision victory, for some odd way, I lean with Lando on this. I can't believe it. And in fact, by finish, I'm betting that Grundy on the money line is a safe spot here. I like that. But I'm going to pass on the prop and maybe take the dog here. I'm just thinking that Lando might have enough striking ability to really hurt Grundy. It's tough to be seen. The guy has faced some really strong comers. Venata can possibly finish. Let's see what the crowds do for everybody. Let's see if Grundy can implement his takedown game plan and get that boring decision that everybody expects. Well, here we have a nice even money bout. Jacare de Souza versus Andre Muniz. Without hesitation, you'd think, oh, I'm taking Jacare de Souza. But wait, hold up. Vegas has some tight lines. Submit to finish. It doesn't matter. This is a bout of two masters. You wouldn't think that Muniz has a chance in this bout, but he has very, very good hand strength. He's a quick scrambling grappler. I actually think that he might be more slick than Souza at this point. Muniz is patient on the feet, doesn't rush a takedown, active jab, good in the clinch where Souza will try to close the distance. But this is where Muniz actually performs his best. He does good trips, level changes. I think it's a bad thing for Souza coming at Muniz and trying to play that grappling game. At this stage of his career, I actually think Muniz has the advantage. Yes, Muniz by finish is plus 240. Muniz by submission is plus 700. I think I might jump on that. But I would bet conservatively throughout this card, as the lines are close and they are enticing, including a lot of the props. But a lot of these fights are going to be a lot closer and a little more unpredictable than we think. I think people always say that I say this, but indeed, it's because fights like this. Matt Schnell, Rodrigo Botanin. I'm stoked that Matt Schnell here comes in. He's gone a long way from reality MMA training star to become a favorite in a UFC event. The books are seeing this to be the distance slightly favoring Schnell. Schnell's last loss was a KO by Pantoja late in round 1. He had 20 strikes to that point, and the other previous two losses, he was KO'd by Rob Font and Hector Sandoval. But this is a different fight. Can Rodrigo Bontorin touch Schnell's chin? Rodrigo's a low-volume striker and fighter, just as rounded as Schnell, but Schnell has to come in there with a combination of the Kai Khan France and Ray Borg formula, strike on the feet, control and ground and pound. Give me opportunity here. I'm taking Schnell. I think he's the underdog. Give me him on the money line as well as him by the finish at plus 275. Next fight, I think I'm going to pass. Everybody's very excited by Viviane Araújo. I'd caution everybody. I think Caitlin Chookagian is a definite decent favorite here. She has fought a beyond better competition. Just a stronger, more seasoned fighter in this instance. I'm not going to bet it. I'm not going to side her in any way. I highly recommend that you pass this fight in any props, anything at all. Chookagian wins if she's just more active. Like I said in the other two women fights last week, I lost the Watterson fight, which was not cool. I lost quite a bit of money there, but not as bad. I think other people disagree with me. I think Hill might have won that fight. Watterson, again, just didn't bring that energy. We're going to see energy here between these two women. I think Araújo still isn't refined. So inconsistent. Both these women are in their approaches, in their movement. This is just a fodder fight. I have no idea why this is even on the main card. I'm going to pass. I don't even want to discuss it anymore. I don't even know why I wasted paper talking about Jessica I and doing MMA math with that fight, because is complete garbage. But goodness, thank you, UFC. You're starting to see this more top-ranked guys like Edson Barbosa willing to fight these guys like Shane Burgos. It needs to happen. This is a big deal, a big fight. Most guys are afraid to fight the tail end guys that are just coming up. Burgos he's been there a bit, and Edson Barbosa is going to get a willing dance partner in this fight. The lines on this fight are accordingly tight, with Shane Burgos a slight favorite on the money line. This is a nice betting opportunity here, as there are no bad sides, just a losing side here. Either side you're on, there is a decent meet on all the prop bets for each fighter and their most likely method of victory. I see just good things for either way you're going to go here. You got to choose a side. It's a fight. Two sides. Get it. Put it in a parlay. Expand on it. Take some risks. For me, this one is easy, as Burgos is just that come-in style, gives no fooks about being hit. In his two most notable wins against Cub Swanson and Charlie Rosa, he took a lot of strikes and took over 127 from Josh Emmett in his loss. The guy just doesn't mind coming. And against Edson Barbosa, the difference is Edson Barbosa primarily looks to kick you. His primary strikes are kicks, not hand strikes. Shane is just dumb enough to test his chin against Barbosa's legs and feet and knees. One thing for sure is Burgos is going to be durable and tough to knock out. So seeing this being early, I don't think so. For Edson Barbosa, it's pretty simple. Keep Burgos at killing range, like Dan Ige and Paul Felder. If Burgos can close the distance and remain active, Barbosa's in a lot of trouble. I think Burgos can finish him if Barbosa gets taken down, or if he gets in a position where he's just hit too much, because Shane Burgos is no joke. The dude is similar to Jiri, but that we saw a few weeks ago. He's willing to come forward, but Edson at plus 108, I think, is a slight value here, despite Burgos' chin. I still favor Edson by finish at plus 325, but at looking to go to distance prop at plus 115. So I'll chop up something here with Edson Barbosa at the money line, the not to go the distance prop, and him by finish. All right, we were doing opposite, so we are at the end here. We're at a fantastic night. Hopefully here we're winning some money. I wish I could tell you all the things that happened along the way, because all of these things translate for me into a lot of bets, unfortunately. We're trying to minimize those. We're definitely going to be able to minimize those this bout, because I think there's just a ton more money line opportunities, as the lines are very close and the fighters are actually paired very closely. A lot of people are scared of this. Don't be afraid of this. Again, I keep mentioning that. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a lot better when there is parity. Tony Ferguson versus Beneil Dariush, another tight match where MMA math is not needed. Again, we're familiar with each of these fighters, with T-Ferg last taking a beating from Charles Oliveira, Beneil handing a beating to Diego Ferreira. This is another MMA match where I expect action on the feet and on the mat. Snap Jitsu versus Kings MMA. Don't go to the teller. Get your bets in early, just like the main event. This is a ground and standing affair. Both distance props are set accordingly. Looking briefly at the lines, the books favor Beneil Dariush to win by decision. He's plus 320 by finish and plus 138 by decision. The money lines and distance props are set very close. Not a ton of value except either fighter by finish. T-Ferg seems to be a bigger dog across the board than his plus 135 doghouse money line. Is there a spot where we can back the accomplished fighter, T. Ferguson? Man, this is a tough one. While a fan favorite, I have to say Tiefer coming off a life-changing defeat where Beneil is not a newcomer. He's a vet, and he's coming off a big victory where he's with energy. Well, I don't set Diego Ferreira in the same realm as Tony Ferguson. We do see Diego Ferreira having some effectiveness against very good wrestlers like Tony Ferguson for the first 90 seconds or whatever, 2 minutes. He did very well against Gregor Gillespie, of course. I'm not trying to do this MMA recency math or anything like that, but I'm throwing it out there. I just think that Beneil's wrestling is far better than what people think, and I think Tony Ferguson's wrestling and somewhat his jiu-jitsu is far overcalculated than what Beneil Dariush's is. I think Beneil is a little more well-rounded at this point, has a little bit more strength in both his wrestling, his submission grappling, and more importantly, his hand strength, oddity of strikes, awkwardness, a different formula of what Tony Ferguson is best at, and it's just different. So I'm all over Beneil on this. I think I will cover the chalk with Beneil. I'm not going to put him in a parlay. If I do cover the chalk, I would put him in a parlay. But I'm going to put my limit on something a little bit with Beneil by finish, and Beneil possibly in round 1 at plus 650. If you've gotten this far, please like and subscribe. Make a comment. Let me know what your parlay is. Let me know what your pick is. Anything contrary to what I say is very appreciated. You don't have to agree with me. This is all just gambling and predictions and optimism and fun, edutainment. Just like and subscribe. Enjoy yourselves. Go out, have a good time. Please bet within your limits. Be smart about this as always. I think this is a fun event, a great newbie betting opportunity. Besides newbies, it's great for vets as well. Like and subscribe, comment. Thank you.